This is Don't Panic, episode number 184, recorded November 27th, 2017. Techducken. Hello, everybody. I got him with that one. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this episode of Don't Panic, the technology podcast on Gadgets and You. I'm Sean Jennings, joined by two guys who are just stuffed with stuffing. It's Dan Miller and Colby Rabideau.
Just two guys.
Just two guys. These two guys. And I showed up, and and all is wonderful in the world. What's going on, gentlemen?
I have two problems. I already talked to Colby about one of these problems.
That's a lot of problems.
I know. It's two more problems that I'm used to having and quite frankly are comfortable having.
I got two problems and it's okay.
Yeah.
All right, go for
it. Problem number one. I'm starting a new job. What computer should I get? Asterisk. They sort of hinted that it would be easier if I got a Linux computer, or I had a computer with Linux on it.
I'm sorry. What is that?
So it's actually GNU/Linux, and
isn't that the kid from the Peanuts cartoons?
Yeah. Swedish guy.
Yes. The little penguin.
Exactly. You got it.
Yeah. So
the problems with Linux is, well, the cool things about Linux is it's a lot of fun for nerds. The downsides include things like there's no sound, you can't plug into projectors or TVs.
It often doesn't work.
But yeah, it works for some things and does not work for some other things, typically. So I'm pretty sure I'm going to stick with Macs just for no other reason. I thought about this for a long time. I cracked open a beer. I drank it, almost all of it, and I thought about it some more, and I realized that when push comes to shove, putting aside laptop problems, I'm still suspicious that Linux has a lot of laptop problems. The number one reason to stay with macOS is Keynote, the Apple version of PowerPoint, which is so much better than PowerPoint, and a bajillion times better than Google Docs. Sean disagrees with the PowerPoint point, but agrees with the Google Docs point.
Yes, Google Slides specifically is a steaming pile of dumpster fire. It's garbage. At that point, just take 3x5 note cards and tape them to your monitor, and that's about the quality.
Just put little popsicle sticks on the end of them and just hold them up.
I have a Mac OS Keynote 3x5 note card presentation related story.
Okay, put that on the stack.
All right.
Actually, can you write that down on a 3x5 card so we don't forget?
I don't have 3x5.
I've got a pile of them here.
So.
I've got
some right here.
Cool. Okay. You're missing out. I'll send you some note cards. You're missing
out. Yes. So, Sean, I haven't used PowerPoint. Granted, I haven't used PowerPoint in a long time. Okay. I haven't used PowerPoint in probably 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
But the Mac OS, well, Keynote makes it easy to make presentations that look really good. It's also easy to make your own templates. And this was the real game changer for me when I realized that you don't need to be a designer to go to some website that gives you some acceptable color palettes and string together your own basic Keynote template. That was a game changer. That functionality never presented itself to me in PowerPoint, and the animations in PowerPoint are so hokey. The animations in Keynote are awesome, and not like awesome in a things light on fire and explode sort of way. It can do that too, but in like the subtle Apple awesome way, where and here's the number one killer feature of Keynote: Magic Move. Have you used Magic Move?
That's what I do out on the dance floor, Dan, but never in Keynote.
Right. So you ever have You ever have a slide that has some content on it, and then you have the next slide that has all of that content and a little bit more?
Yes.
Like, oh, and here's the new widget we make, and it goes here in this diagram. Like, things like that.
Sure.
Like, buy this solution, and it fits right into your existing stuff, just like this. Magic Moves looks at your previous slide and all the stuff on it, your new slide and all the stuff on it, figures out which things are the same, and then moves those things around on the slide to match the new slide. It's so cool. It's so cool. It's so easy to make awesome presentations in Keynote.
Now, quick take. Magic Move or Magic Mouse, which is more magic?
I think Magic Move is more magical because we're so used to trackpads at this point.
But I see. I was going to say Magic Trackpad. That's the most magic.
Yeah, I remember maybe one of our first episodes here. I recall us talking about the Magic Trackpad, and Colby was not a fan because your mom had a Magic Trackpad, and you said it was hot garbage.
It was definitely the Magic Mouse that I was.
Oh, you were railing against? Okay.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Which I have espoused my love for on the show, by the way. I love the Magic Mouse.
I don't get it.
I feel like
I like my regular mouse. Like, this mouse is totally fine.
All mice are fine, but the Magic Mouse,
it's magic.
So, Sean, I think I know where you're coming from here, which is the Magic Mouse has many of the benefits of a regular mouse.
Yes.
And many of the benefits of the trackpad, namely gestures, which on Macs are super important.
Yes.
But the problem is it's a bad mouse and a bad trackpad.
Well, it's a compromise device.
It is a compromise device. And I think that you're either a person whose workflow depends on gestures or a person whose workflow depends on precise pointing, and you should just buy the one that suits you. Like, I don't need precise pointing as a programmer, especially not someone who's like mucking around with design or anything. So a Magic Trackpad would work great for me, better than a Magic Mouse, because I never need to be precisely pointing, and I get way better gestures on the Magic Trackpad.
Yeah, but you know why I like the Magic Mouse, Dan? It's very simple. I'm a Windows user, and I've always had really shitty mice. And all of a sudden, now I have a mouse that's equally as good as any mouse I've ever used on Windows, plus it's got cool swipe shit on top. That's really the only reason. I'm not saying it's it's like the best mouse ever made. It's just like a regular mouse and then a little bit better.
Fair enough.
That's the fair part. But anyway, I do want to circle back to why PowerPoint is better than Keynote. Not to get off topic.
We're 3 stacks deep, by the way. We're back up on the PowerPoint versus Keynote. We have whatever Colby's thing was with the 3x5 cards, and we have my computer decision. But just to make sure we all have that firmly in our minds.
This is like Game of Thrones. Our fans are going to need like a whole book series to figure out what the hell we're talking about. All I will quickly say is I agree with you, Dan. PowerPoint visually looked better in like 2009. And I think I and a lot of people have gotten very tired of the way Keynote slides look. I think it's just that
really
nothing new design-wise has happened with Keynote in the last how long?
But that's the thing.
Since Magic Move, nothing new has happened.
There you go. They solved it, and then they gave up, and they said, we're going to go work on whatever other things, thinner iPads, I don't know. But they went and did that.
That's the thing, is you can make your own.
But you can do that in PowerPoint. Like, their new PowerPoint, 2016 PowerPoint, is not awesome, but it is very good, and you have a lot more design options. And my only argument for why PowerPoint is better, and I will totally acknowledge it's stupid, is that when you go to make a presentation, you don't say, oh, can I plug in my computer? I need to put up a slideshow. No, you say, I need to put up a PowerPoint.
It's the Kleenex.
It's the Kleenex argument. It's the Xerox of presentations.
The iPad of presentations.
Exactly. Thank you. Colby gets it. PowerPoint is the standard, and Keynote will always be second. Bam. There you go. But anyhow, I do want to say we've got someone in the chat room. Our Twitch. We're live on Twitch right now. Twitch.tv/Don't Panic Show, because Facebook Live is broken at the moment. And we got a chat friend in the chat room, Percy1983. Thank you for listening.
Hi, chat friend.
Chat friend, he says the click function breaks easily for the Magic Trackpad that is used a lot, 10 years or so. And I don't know anyone who's had a trackpad for 10 years. Yeah, I guess if you're really aggressive about it.
It's like really clicking.
Yeah,
I can see it breaking, especially the new ones don't. They're force whatever.
Oh, they're force touch. They don't even click.
Is it still called the Magic Trackpad, or is it like?
I think it's still called that. Having just
Trackpad X
Apple computers today, I think it's still called that.
I do like Trackpad X.
Trackpad 10.
Trackpad. No, it's X. Anyway, so let's circle back to.
All right, popping up.
Oh,
3x5 cards. Colby's 3x5 card story. That's the next thing on the stack.
Okay. So we were talking about presentations and Keynote and Mac. So a couple of months ago, I did a presentation at work for a small group of people, and as we've discussed on the show, a few months before that, I got one of the Touch Bar MacBooks for work. And so I have a million dongles, and I have to bring the right dongles. And this presentation was in a room. I had never done a presentation with this computer. I did get a dongle. I got an HDMI dongle because that was the plug that was in the room. And I got to the room, the presentation was starting, and it just didn't work. Like the HDMI, I don't know if it was the projector dongle combo or what. But it just didn't work at all. And so I spent like 5 minutes of my allotted time trying to plug stuff in. Someone like ran to IT to like get me another dongle to see if that would work. It didn't work. So what I ended up doing is I used someone else's computer who still had an old MacBook with an HDMI port built in. I sent them my slides, but they didn't have the right version of Keynote installed. So instead of having Keynote with transitions, I exported a PDF of my slides, and I scrolled through it on the projector.
Nice.
That was unfortunate.
Yes. This is why you all, not to proselytize, but always show up at the room beforehand.
It was
Plug
really
your shit in.
See, I was like, I'm gonna get there 5 minutes early, and I was 5 minutes early, but I needed like 25 minutes.
Exactly.
I'm gonna back up Colby on this one. That is one of the most cringeworthy moments in life. Is the tech doesn't work in a meeting room scenario, and it's as somebody who's like the most tech savvy person in his company, and I include the IT department. Everyone looks to me, and I've just gotten in the habit. I just like cross my arms and say, "You're on your own," because I am. Like, I don't try and be rude, but I'm like, I will not be able to solve the problem. So all that's going to happen is I'm going to stand here for 20 minutes, and at the end of it, we're going to say, well, it doesn't work. And then I look like the guy who doesn't know anything.
And if you can solve it, that's worse, because now you're the AV guy.
Right, exactly. It's always, oh, Sean, you got an extra HDMI cable? Oh, Sean, you got a dongle?
Sean, can you change the input on the receiver and the TV for me?
Yep. Yeah. And I do not want to be that guy. So today I sat and I watched. What was weird was we were doing a software demo from a giant multi-billion-dollar company. And they were trying to do share screen through Google Hangouts, which I thought was weird. Because I assume they do like a GoToMeeting or like an actual service, but no, they're like, oh, you need Google Hangouts, and I'm like, we can't. And they're like, what do you mean you can't? I'm like, we don't have Chrome, and they're like, well, why don't you have Chrome? And I'm like, because we're only allowed Internet Explorer, and it like blew their mind. They like just didn't understand it. They're like, no, just download Chrome, and we're like, but we can't.
They can't have that many billions if they've never encountered a company that only allows IE.
It was Salesforce. I'm just saying, it was very odd to me.
Really? Salesforce?
Yeah.
Man, you'd think Salesforce of all people. Well,
no.
I look at that UI and I think this company lives and breathes Internet Explorer.
Oh, it's funny because it's true. Gosh. No, and so eventually they're like, oh, do you want us to just like set up a GoToMeeting instead? And we're like, yeah. Like, what? Why would you? It was so dumb. I didn't.
I'm surprised Salesforce doesn't have their own video conferencing solution at this point.
I agree. I don't.
Right? Because they must be doing these sales calls via Salesforce, right? Why not have it end-to-end integrated where you schedule the calendar invite, it creates the link, it's set up at the right time, everyone just clicks on it.
No, they'll buy somebody, I'm sure. They almost bought LinkedIn.
True.
So we use this. I feel like we've gone through like 3 of these or 4 maybe, like meeting scheduling, not scheduling, but like business video chat companies.
You can say enterprise. It's okay, Cole. How many people are here? Company now?
Dirty word. Dirty word.
Yeah. The one we use now is called Zoom, and it like mostly works fine. Like we've been using it for a long time, so I feel like it's probably good. But it's like very much phone centric, so everything is like the conference call is like the primary unit of thing, and everything else is like tacked onto that. Like everything like assumes that you're gonna pick up your telephone and dial into something. Mm-hmm. And then there are like these other weird ways that like you can get the video on your computer, or you can like like turn on your video, your webcam or something. It's really quite bizarre. As a person who did not work in companies when like conference calls were common, really. Like I never had to communicate with people in other places for work except via Skype or something like that.
I'll give credit to, at my old job, Skype was awesome. I used Skype for all our and everyone in the business was on Skype, and we used it, and it was amazing, and it worked great every time. So I will give a shout out. But Percy in the chat points out Hangouts is free, which doesn't really explain why Salesforce has to use it, because, you know,
true.
They're not on their last legs. I do want to circle back, Dan. All right, now we got to go another layer in the stack here, because you need to get a computer. And I was thinking, Dan, can't you just, you know, and I got to admit, I'm the least technically knowledged guy here on the panel, you know, so let's be real with that. Can't you do that, like, dual boot parallel simulation, whatever you call
virtualization?
The computer in the computer. Can't you just do that?
Yeah, I could totally do that. See, this is the problem, though. The problem with nerds and virtualization is there's an overhead to virtualization, right? It's not free, asterisk, which we can get back to later, to, you know, run a computer inside your computer. That inside computer will not, by definition, be as fast as your outside computer, because some part of your outside computer is devoted to running the inside computer. So, like, that prospect of, like, well, I could get a Mac and run Windows inside of it, or Linux or whatever, but then, like, I wouldn't really be using, like, the whole computer. I wouldn't have the whole computer on the inside computer. I really want to run the inside computer on the computer itself.
Yeah, but also, and, you know, again, I circle back to my previous comment. I don't know what you do for a living, Dan. I don't understand it. Like, I really don't know. Do you need 100% of like the high-end computing power of that MacBook, or can you like suffice in a Linux running on a MacBook? I'm just saying, I don't think you're like editing 4K raw video or anything, you know?
Yet.
Maybe that's what you do for a living. I don't understand it. But what I am saying is that, you know, do you need all of that power?
No. You're totally right. That's very true. But as I said, I think I'm going to stick with Mac OS, and yes, I could, you know, run Linux inside of it if I really need to. The asterisk is containers, which I don't entirely understand, but they're not really sufficient for what we're talking about. Mm-hmm. So, given that, here are my 2 choices. Feel free to present a third option. Choice number 1, and there are some technicalities I'm working out here. Choice number 1, I have a 13-inch new MacBook Pro for my current job, and it is not sufficient to drive like a 4K monitor. Like, it's fine, but you can tell that it's kind of upset. So choice 1, 15-inch MacBook Pro. Choice 2, 27-inch iMac, which actually is less expensive. than a 15-inch MacBook Pro. Flat out. Never mind the fact that you really want to get a monitor with the 15-inch MacBook Pro anyways. But, of course, the problem is if I want to go literally anywhere that's not the office, I couldn't do anything. So I'm trying to see if I can use my tiny MacBook. I think it'll be okay. But we'll see. Those are my two options.
Well,
can any of you offer me advice?
I mean, I feel like you got to go for portability. That's what I would have to go for, portability. Can't be tied to a desk.
Now, would you, if you could be given a 27-inch MacBook Pro and provide a tiny MacBook that you could also use?
Well, I think it depends on the setup, right? Like, if you have to run whatever service is on your tiny MacBook, like, maybe not. Like, I don't think, for example, the things we run locally for my current job, I don't think could be sustained on the tiny MacBook. But I don't know if I could provide my own, I guess if I had another computer that worked well enough, like, I wouldn't have a problem with using my own computer. Or if it was like a sort of like VM setup where you could just like SSH into stuff.
Yeah, I do miss that. But then you can't really use IDEs. But now we're getting into change mode topics here. Yeah. I do have this 15-inch MacBook Pro that I'm using for this show right now, in addition to my tiny MacBook. It's old, but it works fine.
Well, so can I think a little bit outside the box here, Dan?
Yes, please.
I want to really blow your mind here. So I'm assuming the reason, first of all, those 27-inch iMacs are insane.
Yeah, and tell us why you know this, Sean.
Because although I don't know if mine's the 24 or the 27. I never actually measured it. It's good. It's a good size. It's good. You don't need. I'm sure either is fine. But no, the 5K displays are like bananas. They're awesome, and you get the Magic Mouse. But I'm assuming the reason you can't get both is a cost reason, right? They're not going to get you a desktop and a laptop, right?
Well, that's the trick. Is if they would let me use my personal laptop when I have to work from home or travel or something, I would happily do that.
No, but this is what I'm saying, Dan. You don't have to do that, because here's what I'm thinking, right? You got to sell them on this. You got to say, you don't want me using my personal computer. It's a security risk. It's bad for the business. It's not good. But I also understand, look, buying an iMac and a new MacBook, very expensive. Get the iMac, get a Linux laptop. Which I have to imagine, and again, I have no knowledge if this is true, got to be cheaper than a MacBook.
That's true.
And say, look, you want me to do stuff on Linux? And then, because that's what I do. I have a Windows laptop, and I have the iMac. And so if I need to do something from home, I have the Windows laptop. And I have both systems, because I do some stuff that's IE only and blah, blah, blah. So if you can get both, I think and then you can go to and from with your Linux laptop.
That's thinking outside the box.
Now, how does one buy a Linux laptop? I have no idea. I don't think you can go.
Dell sells a Linux laptop. There are Linux laptop specific manufacturers.
There you go.
It's a lot better than it was.
Dell.
Back in my day. Back in my day, you would go on the Linux distro wikis, and there'd be a list of laptops, like a Wikimedia list of all the manufacturers, and underneath that, all the model names. And you would find one online, look it up in this list, click on that article, and see how shitty it was to run Linux on. And then you would keep doing that until you found one that was sufficiently not shitty as to be worth it. So the value of the hardware on its face was sufficient to offset the cost of whatever stupid stuff you'd have to do to get Linux to run on it. That was how it used to work. And I miss those days. It's like the Android versus iOS thing. I miss, you know what? I don't want Windows anymore. I just want, full screen apps only. Or I don't want to have clickable, draggable, expandable windows. This is a thing, Sean. Ready for this? There is no clicking and dragging of windows in some of these, Linux environments. You open up one window, it's full screen. You open up another one, boom, half and half. You open up another, half, then like a quarter. You open up another, quarters all the way around. You open up a fifth, and it splits one of those quarters into 2/8.
You lost me. I'm not very good with fractions. You got to slow down.
So you would open up an app, and it would take up the full screen, right?
Yeah, I was being sarcastic. That was a joke.
Sometimes you're kind of dense.
You were over explaining it a little bit. I got it. No, but Dan, so then why don't you get like a Chromebook or something? I mean, if you really want to go nuts, go nuts. That's
Well, I couldn't do anything on a Chromebook.
Well, but Dan, that you want a challenge. That's the idea.
I could run Linux on it, but that sounds like a lot of. I'm just saying, I do miss that level of customization, but I also respect not doing it. Like, I was strongly considering it earlier today. I was like, well, it would be really fun to get back into Linux. I've been out of it for a long time. I'm sure a lot of stuff has changed. I was like, Dan, you'd spend the first 2 weeks of this job just fucking around with your window manager settings and getting the windows to open at exactly the right size. And getting your Wi-Fi to work and reconnect, and making it so that when the laptop closes, it actually turns off. That was a big problem.
Oh, no.
Or yeah, sometimes, right, you don't want it to shut down when you close the lid, and that's sometimes what it would do. So you'd have to do all this stuff to make it not shut down, because that's not ideal, because you close it and you're like, oh, wait! Like, oh, nope. That work is lost.
Your productivity is going to tank.
Right, so I think I'm going to stick with the MacBook.
Good idea.
Good. I have to think on your suggestion, Sean.
Yes, please follow up here on the show. Let the folks out there are just dying to know the outcome of the situation.
And if you'll recall, that was only one thing I needed help with.
Oh, God. Oh, my Lord. Dan, look, we can't solve all your problems.
So much more fun than the first one.
Oh, I don't know. The first one was very fun.
I think Sean will find this one more fun, but you might find it less fun.
Bring it on.
As part of getting this new job, I also have a week off, and I don't think I can really go to Hawaii again, nor would I want to, because that did not work out so well last time. I think, but I don't know what I want to do. I don't want to prime your minds with anything. What would you do with 1 week off, given these constraints? At most, 2 time zones away, and at most 6 hours away.
Okay. All right. While we're debating what you should do, to our 7 live viewers on Twitch, comment in the Twitch chat room if you have an idea of what Dan should do on his
Tell me what to do.
Look at him. He's sweating bullets. He's stressed out about this. Give the man an answer. He's dying
Vacations. Okay, so context, I live in New York, which you would need to know to answer this question.
Yes.
I'm down to stay in New York, but my goal is to relax. So I'm looking for relaxing things. I don't want to go like hiking in Patagonia. I do want to go hiking in Patagonia, but it's not going to achieve my goal.
It's just not this week.
Yeah.
What about like? Well, I was gonna say like the Grand Canyon. You could go to the Grand Canyon. Have you ever been there before? Oh, it's 3? Well, is it though? Arizona doesn't do daylight savings.
Oh shit, dog.
Does that make it closer or farther?
And it's 2 time zones away, technically. On the technicality.
Colby's smart. He's paying attention. I like that.
Okay, that's an idea. So you've both been to Arizona. True.
That's true.
Technically,
I haven't been to the Grand Canyon.
Technically.
Yes.
Are there relaxing things to do in Arizona?
Sure.
Yeah. I could like hook you up with my aunt's contact info. You could hang out with some relatives.
Is your aunt very chill? Is she very laid back?
I've ever done in Arizona.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. She's reasonably chill.
There are a lot of spas out there, Dan. Are you a big spa guy? Do you like massages?
So over the past week, I've been reading up a lot on spas. Did you know that there are spas in New York which are among the most expensive spas in the world?
I don't
believe it. There are also, and so at first I was interested in this because I thought, oh, I could stay in New York and go to a spa without having to go to Arizona. Seems like a great plan, but they're so expensive. And as far as I can tell, having been to literally one spa in my life, part of the allure of going to a spa is, you do the spa stuff, but then you're like in this relaxing place, and you can like lay on a chair or just absorb the environment. How do you do that in New York and San Francisco? Like, I would imagine the dissonance of knowing I'm in this spa and I'm relaxing and maybe I'm getting a massage, but 10 feet away is New York City would drive me crazy. Like, I would never go to a spa in New York or San Francisco. That sounds terrible. But I'm open to the idea in general.
Okay. I did like my previous idea. I mentioned this last week when you asked this, and it was promptly shut down, but I'll repeat it anyway. For the holiday season, you should go to the Mall of America. I think that you can fly you can get there right from the airport. You don't even have to go far, right in Minneapolis. And you can go, they got a roller coaster inside of it and like 4 gaps, and you could just go and do all your Christmas shopping at the biggest mall in the country.
4 gaps. So it's basically like the Grand Canyon then.
It's the Grand Canyon of malls. It's just a big hole in the ground, and you should go there. There's a hotel right there. You can get married at the mall, Dan. It's incredible.
Can you?
Yeah, there's a chapel in the mall.
Oh man, someday, eventually, on an infinite time scale, Mall of America will be featured on your Dead Malls YouTube channel, and that walkthrough will be like an hour and a half long.
It would be great. The guy might die getting lost in there. He might not make it.
It'll be its own city, and we just created a great sci-fi show. Like Thunderdome crossed with Mall of America crossed with Mad Max.
But like with an stylized in the 80s.
Yeah.
Oh,
yes.
That's hot. Get Amazon Studios on the phone. Let's pay for that shit. No, Dan, actually I do have a legitimate suggestion if you'd like to hear it.
Okay. I would love to hear it.
And I think this is a thing. I'm pretty sure I read this in an article. You'll have to double check. But it might be fun this time of year. Although it might be a little late. I don't know. However, there's a thing you can do in Vermont and New Hampshire, and it is like a winery tour, but for maple syrup. And you actually, I don't know if it's a company that does a tour, you got to do it yourself. I think I just read an article about a guy who did it. But you go from maple house to maple house, and you actually taste the different maple syrups. And how different they are, I guess, is how good your palate is. It might be a little late in the year, though. I don't know. You'd have to confirm. But that could be fun.
Okay, I will look into that.
As a person whose family used to make maple syrup relatively regularly, I think so. We would do it in like the late winter, early spring. So the maple syrup was like a March, like February, March, April activity.
Come from a family of sugar maker, Scooby?
It was more of a hobby.
I was about to say he comes from a family of people who love eccentric hobbies.
That's true. Can confirm. But it's like I don't really know the science exactly, but it's like when the trees you like tap the trees in the spring and they start like growing or whatever, and that's when the sap flows. I'm not sure. I don't think it happens all year round, but I could be wrong about that.
Well, you check that. And maybe you can do it in the spring. I don't know, but that's one idea.
Do you have a particularly category of traveling you'd like to do? Like, do you want to chill out travel? Travel. I see.
Yeah.
You could go to Texas. We went to Texas once. You could go to a different part of Texas.
I do have a standing invite to go to Texas. Yes, I have a standing invite to go to Austin.
Although is that a real chill place? I mean, I guess it is in some respects. Seems very active and exciting.
Shoot guns. That's what people do in Texas, right?
Do our beloved listeners have any advice for me?
Yeah, we have one suggestion out of the Twitch Brain Trust, and it is they want us to play more D&D. So that's what they want us to do on your week off.
If you both want to take a week off and we can rope Matt into this too somehow, get him fired or something, we can just play D&D for an entire week. We could do one of those charity live streams. How long could we play D&D for?
We haven't even if you add up every episode we've ever done, we haven't played a week's worth.
I know, we would become prolific in our output.
absolutely insane. So good idea.
Do you think we would get better or worse as we after
Here's
after the week?
It would be like a bell curve.
It would be like a bell curve, but then another function on top of that makes the bell curve like it repeats. So I think it takes a while to get into D&D, and then you're awesome. But then after a while, you get tired of it. But then I think at about hour 5 or 6, it would start to get awesome again because you're so tired and you're like anything goes. And then by like hour 7 or 8, it would go back down. But then by like hour 11 or 12, I think it would go back up again.
Mm-hmm.
But then those periods become shorter and shorter until like it's just second to second. 1 second's awesome, the next second's terrible. Sort of situation.
That's not that different from what we're doing now. So,
It's true.
We're definitely very volatile.
Speaking of volatility, I just remembered I forgot to make my bed.
Eagle,
I thought you were going to make a Bitcoin joke.
Let's put Colby up on the big screen. Yeah, sorry, buddy.
Remember when I sold my Bitcoin in like April to go to Hawaii? I would have like $20,000 right now.
And you can take Dan to wherever you wanted to go.
Yeah,
we can go to Hawaii 3 times over. Alas.
Wow.
Sean, do you own any cryptocurrencies?
I own regular stocks, and they are doing terribly. So maybe I should look at Bitcoin. Maybe I missed the boat on that one. But my regular,
I don't have cryptocurrencies.
My stock guy a couple years ago was like, "Oh, Sean, oil and gas, it's going to explode. It's going to be huge. It's down right now. You should buy a ton of it." And I did, and then it immediately crashed. So eventually it'll come back.
You say literally oil and gas explodes.
Yes, he did. And I thought he was talking about the stocks, and he wasn't. He was talking about the literal gas and oil. What a fool I was.
No.
Damn it. Everyone go buy more oil so my stocks bounce back. Anyway, we're so far off topic. It's not even funny. Do you guys want to talk about tech news? Or, we're no joke 40 minutes into our hour-long program. And we've never done
You said there's not much news to talk about this week, so come up with something. And I came up with 2 things. Actually, I came up with more than that. We didn't even get to some of my other crazy ideas.
Well, remember them for next week. You did a great job, Dan. But we've also never done an episode and not talked about at least one story.
That's true. Sometimes we have only talked about one story.
That is true. So let's make tonight one of those nights. What is the one story? I know it's going to be tough to choose. There's a lot of real good ones in here. It's a real top-notch slate in the spreadsheet.
Twitter testing bookmarks. Didn't they used to have bookmarks and then they got rid of them and now they were bringing back bookmarks?
No, they had favorites and favorites became likes.
Favorites were or something.
How could you pick that? That is the worst story on here.
Oh, gee, Dan,
I just wanted to ask the question.
No. They had it was originally favorites where it was the star, and then they changed it to the heart for likes. And now they're adding a second, so likes will still exist, but you'll also be able to bookmark things.
I see.
And I guess the main difference
Save it for later.
Yeah, well, and one of the main differences, what annoys me about using Twitter.com and the Twitter app is when, like, Colby likes something, it shows up in my feed, even if he doesn't retweet it. Which
he has terrible taste.
No, stop that. I love reading Colby's likes, but other people's likes I don't, because I don't think people realize. I didn't realize mine were being shared for a long time.
I didn't know that.
And I was using it as a bookmark. So I'm bookmarking in Twitter will not be shared in that respect. That'll be at least a little more private. So in that respect, I think it's a good feature, but I just use Instapaper. So, and I bookmark tweets all the time in there.
I see. Cool.
Anyway. We got through that story quick. Is there another one?
Oh, yeah. Germany banning kids from using smartwatches.
Oh, this is a great one.
That's a great story.
You picked not like Colby's shitty story. Wow, you really picked a winner.
No,
hey, look at this. Germany banning smartwatches. Here we go. Germany's telecommunications agency, the Bundesnetzagentur, has banned smartwatches for kids and is asking parents to destroy. I'm just going to keep going. The regulators have deemed smartwatches targeted at kids, quote, prohibitive listening devices, and are asking parents to destroy any smartwatches their kids have and advising schools to pay closer attention to kids with them.
Are there YouTube videos of German parents destroying smartwatches?
I hope they like run them over with a steamroller or something. Germany's targeting the listening capabilities of smartwatches, but don't say anything about the European Consumer Organization's announcement that smartwatches pose a security threat to kids' safety, such as GPS tracking. So, this is at the same time where I saw a commercial the other day for a kid's smartwatch here in the U.S., like Mattel or somebody was shilling out a kid's smartwatch. It was very creepy.
I've never seen kid smartwatches. I guess that wasn't the angle I was thinking of when I saw this.
Yeah, no, these aren't like, don't put an Apple Watch on your kid. These are specifically, I mean, I guess that's part of it, but they're more targeting like smartwatches made by toy companies, which is a big thing. I'm going to see if I can find the one I saw, Mattel smartwatch. Because not Metal smartwatch, Google. But there was another company that had that was putting out a smart speaker. I think it was Mattel or Hasbro, one of those. There was a smart Alexa speaker for children, and they had to pull it off the market because they were afraid they were listening to kids. And there's all kinds of laws about, not doing that.
So how does that apply to like an Alexa that's just in your house? That's listening to kids if you have kids.
Because it's not targeted at kids. It's a weird law where it's like a serial, or like, I'm just trying to think of anything, but like websites for toys are arguably targeted at kids. They have to have those like, confirm your age and ask your parents' permission before logging on. But a kid can go to any website and they don't, as long as it's not targeted to kids. It's like, you're right. It is a fine line. You're muted, Colby. We can't hear you.
I said, I see.
Yes.
That's very interesting.
All right. Ready for the next one?
Oh, rapid fire. Let's go.
Pokemon Go may have killed you, Sean.
Pokemon Go may have killed you. Certainly did cause a lot of damage. This is one of those local news headlines that your local news is like, and coming up tonight at 11, Pokemon Go causing billions in damage.
With like the scary music.
Stock footage of cars crashing or something.
Yeah.
What you need to know about the popular game that may save your life. No, so apparently they put together a research study, Purdue University. They titled it Death by Pokemon Go. Combed through accident reports from Tippecanoe County, Indiana, in the first 148 days after the game was released in July of 2016. In that county alone, total value from injuries, damage, and the 2 lives lost by people playing the game is between $5.2 and $25.5 million. If you scale this to cover the entire U.S., it would suggest that $2 billion to $7.3 billion were lost in just those few months. The report showed during those 148 days, 286 additional crashes.
That's crazy. First of all, couldn't they have come up with a better headline, like "Do not pass Pokemon Go, do not collect $200 billion"?
That's really good. That should have been the name of our episode, Dan.
No.
Come on. Oh,
I mean,
man,
it could still be.
That's true.
Tempting.
Re-recorded that bumper. All right. Anything else to say about that?
I don't blame Pokemon Go. I blame the stupid people playing it.
Yeah, I don't know anyone in New York, but when it first came out, it was huge, and people were like, oh, it's going to change the world. No, it was a terrible game. Remains a terrible game. When I was in St. Louis, though, Colby was there too, I saw people playing it in St. Louis.
Really?
A couple people, yeah, not conference goers either, locals, presumably. So maybe it is still popular.
Someone's playing it. But also, I do feel like it's probably a good idea to disable the game when it's traveling faster than X miles per hour. That seems a bit obvious.
It does.
But
what if you're on a train?
You still probably shouldn't be. Then aren't you cheating because you're like picking them all up real fast?
When I first played Pokemon Go, I was playing it on a bus in Scotland. I got that shmoney so fast. It was awesome.
Getting all those Scottish Pokemon.
All those Scottish Pokestops.
They all were killed.
Then I realized how stupid the game was, and I stopped playing.
Well, get excited because now they're making a Harry Potter themed version of AR. The same company.
What do you collect?
They haven't released details other than the fact they're making it. I'm guessing you like.
I hope that it's not that the difference between whatever the other one was called and Pokemon Go, which is nothing. It's just a reskin. I hope it's not just a reskin of the same game.
The mechanics will be the same. They basically said the mechanics will be the same. It's
Come on, there's so much potential here. Make an actual game. Make an actual game.
But Dan, why do that when they can make actual money? You know?
I said this before, and I'll say it again. Imagine how much money they would make if they took the addicting parts of Pokemon Go and added an actual Pokemon game in. Come on!
That'd be too easy, Dan. That'd be too. If it was such a good idea, someone would have already done it. So think about that. All right, we can breeze through one more brief story if you'd like.
Well, it has to be turning water into wine.
Oh, what a great story. This is a good headline. This is a great headline. SodaStream's next trick is turning water into wine.
That is a great headline.
And it caught my attention, and here it is. So you guys have heard of SodaStream, of course, the device that you put water into and it adds bubbles, and sometimes you can put the little concentrated soda in there and it'll make you bubbly soda. Well, SodaStream
I've actually never used one of these, but I know what it is. Have either of you ever used one?
Nope.
I feel like Colby would have.
I've seen them. No. I've never used one.
They didn't have this with your fancy waters in San Francisco, a little SodaStream next to it to kickstart your day?
Well, no, there was like a thing. There's like a machine that will give you seltzer water, but it's like an industrial strength machine. No, it didn't flavor it. Man, I hadn't thought about those like lightly flavored still waters in a long time.
What were those called again?
Hint water. Once in a while I see them in a grocery store and I buy a couple. Man, that was a life. I never should have left California. I made a huge mistake. I'm going back.
Yeah. Well, the thing about SodaStream, so as I mentioned, they have the mixes that can turn your seltzer into soda or lemonade or whatever. They have a new one called Sparkling Gold, and it's an alcoholic concentrate. And the idea is that Sparkling Gold contains 10% alcohol by volume when prepared using the recommended ratio of 1 part Sparkling Gold concentrate to 5 parts sparkling water. And essentially what you're doing is you're making Riesling. You're making sparkling wine by adding in this concentrate into the water. Now, SodaStream claims to have conducted an independent taste test of 100 people and found that 76% of them rated the resulting mixture on par with actual French champagnes. Now, each bottle is enough for 12 glasses of wine. However, bad news, it's a limited edition product, and it's only available in Germany.
What?
So, probably should have led with that.
Part. That's ridiculous.
Why didn't they lead with
Is
that?
SodaStream a German company?
No, actually, they're an Israeli company. Fun fact.
Is there some like weird laws that make this illegal in America or something?
That could be.
This does seem like one of those like Four Loko type things where like the laws are not ready for this invention. And someone has to like stop it before it gets out of control. Oh, kids, what your kids aren't telling you, they're oh my god, could you imagine teenagers like squirting this directly into their mouths and getting like super drunk?
Yeah,
I can't imagine it. Yeah.
Or somehow doctoring the mixture to include other things. That would be pretty cool.
They just squirt it right into a Red Bull and drink it, and then they lose their goddamn minds.
Oh,
now
dude.
That's a good episode title.
We're so out of control. How many Red Bulls have we had? Jesus Christ.
I haven't had an energy drink in at least 6 years.
I definitely haven't had one since college, and like I'm pretty sure a couple times it like gave me heart palpitations. like I drank it too fast, and I was in the library, and I remember one time I must have drank it too fast, and I was sitting in the library trying to do a paper, and I had like the spins like you get when you're drunk, but like I wasn't drunk, and it didn't like feel bad. Like I didn't feel like I was gonna throw up. It was just like my head was spinning. Like I was sitting in the library, and it was very weird. And after that, I stopped drinking those beverages.
You've extended your lifespan a lot by making that decision.
I think so. Yeah. It was a little disturbing.
Now, before we move on, I got to give in our Twitch chat room at twitch.tv/Don't Panic Show, Sin Unlimited mentions it's called SodaStream. It can't be alcoholic. What would be what's the new name? Is there like a Dan's on fire tonight with the clever stuff? What is SodaStream now that it's alcoholic?
Beverage stream.
No, it's like it's the party stream.
Or permiss.
Party stream.
It's the party stream. Party on demand or something like that, you know?
Party stream sounds weird.
Sparkling
right
Dreams.
For parody.
I have to think about this. I mean, I think if you wanted to, market it a little bit towards like, male audiences, you could do like the Beer Factory and, give it a little bit of a different industrial design. The sommelier stream for wine, that'd be pretty cool. And then, you could do, did you read that story about, it was on The Verge sometime in the last week, this like food processor where it like tells you what to do and it has all the recipes internally, so it'll say like, hey, go to the store and get these things, and then it says stick the carrots in, and then it grinds them up, and it's like stick the rice in or whatever, and it tells you. Anyways, you could do that.
Bossy.
Yeah, I didn't really understand who that was for. You could do that kind of, but make it like an interactive. You could make it hook into Alexa. It could be an Internet of Things device where you say, I'm eating steak, and then it would just pour you a glass of wine that matches that food. I'm having chicken. I'm having salmon. And it could talk to you like a sommelier, like, oh, well, do you prefer drier whites or fruitier whites? And so the sommelier stream could be pretty cool.
That's a good. Although now you've got me thinking, because I want that for cocktails.
See, yeah, but you could probably do it. At this point, you're just mixing powders, right? And we're all part of the powder nation, so we're used to this.
That is right. All right, guys, we are we've run out of time to talk about nothing, so now we have to talk about something, which is our picks every week at the end of the show. We each bring something to the table that we've been enjoying and we want to share with the world. And I'm going to jump in and go first. I saw a movie this weekend. So I asked the three hosts, Dan, Colby, and Matt, what movie I should see this weekend. Should I see Justice League, Thor Ragnarok, or Coco? Dan and Colby did not have an opinion. And Matt opted to go ahead and pick Coco simply because he owned it in the Up for Debate Movie League. And because the crowd was so silent, I took Matt's advice and I went and saw Coco this weekend. And despite the fact that it had the most mind-numbing Frozen mini-movie before Coco that is 15 minutes of my life I will never get back. Also, kids' movies these days are terrible. If you watch all the trailers for them back to back, you're like, wow. There was a movie called Duck, Duck, Goose. Just go look up the trailer. It was the fucking stupidest thing.
How was that not in the movie draft?
Because it's not... I don't even think it's a real movie. It looked like it was made in like 5 minutes. It was bad, regardless. Coco was a very nice movie. I enjoyed it a lot. I think one of Pixar's more visually interesting films. It looked really great, especially on the big screen. Very colorful, very well done. The story, I would say good, not great. I wouldn't put it as like in my top 3 Pixar of all time. I'd call it a very solid effort. Middle of the pack Pixar, which is better than just about any kids movie anyway. Better than Cars, not as good as WALL-E, it's kind of like in the middle. Kind of Monsters Inc. level, where it's like fun, but didn't really go to that next level Pixar that they can do sometimes. I think it's worth seeing Coco in theaters now. Give Matt some money in the movie league. Help the poor guy out. He's gonna need it. So.
Is he?
Yeah, his first couple movies have not been spectacular. So, anyway.
Yeah, I'm pretty pleased with how Justice League turned out.
If by that you mean not well, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was a bit of movies have been so... Coco's really kind of one of the only big movies so far. Everything has not done
Who had that in the movie
great.
draft?
Who had... Which one? Coco?
Coco.
Matt did.
Oh, right. Sorry.
Yes.
Jesus.
No, you're fine. Yeah, not to get too much into it, upfordebate.tv/movies, or Up for Debate Movie League, but yeah, Matt's had The Snowman, which crashed and burned, Murder on the Orient Express, which meh, Wonder, meh, and all he's got left is Molly's Game and 12 Strong, so not great. Anyhow, we're getting a bit off topic. Percy in the chat room asked, which cars? All the cars. I didn't really like any of them, to be honest with you. Cars 1 was tolerable, the other's not so great.
I haven't seen a single one. Not
Pixar's top efforts. WALL-E is probably my favorite. That's an incredible movie. But
I liked WALL-E.
I mean, there's no dialogue for like the first 35 minutes of the film. It's and yet you're like so engrossed. It's incredible.
Power move.
It really is. So
WALL-E and Up are...
Up's a great one.
Yeah. In the same league for me.
Yeah. They made a lot of good movies. Anyhow, we got to do more picks. Dan, what do you got for us here? You are putting your car to sleep? What is this, auto sleep?
Yep. So, one of the things I've been missing for a couple of years now from the Fitbit ecosystem is sleep tracking. And the Apple Watch doesn't really do that. And over Thanksgiving break, I finally sat down and figured it out. I tried a couple different sleep tracking apps that work with either your iPhone or the Apple Watch or both. And I settled on auto sleep for a couple of reasons. First of all, it can use both your phone or your watch, and the setup experience is really neat. It asks you how you sleep and in which arrangement your devices are, so it knows whether it can use signals from your phone to know when you wake up during the night, or if your phone is out of your bed, or if you're wearing your watch, or if you're not typically. So that was really good, and I think it puts you in an optimal place where you don't really feel limited. It works, so I tried to keep track of for myself when I was waking up in the middle of the night when I was sleeping, and I checked the app and it recorded things accurately as far as I could tell. It also records everything, which is cool. The UI is a little bit much. There are some parts of these graphs that I'm I have no idea what that means, and whatever. Just tell me what good sleep I got last night, and let me see it over time, which it does let you do. So if you have an Apple Watch, or even if you just have an iPhone and you don't have any smartwatches and you want to, and as long as you have your iPhone on your bed, you can use your iPhone to do the sleep tracking. Either of those situations describe you and you want to start quantifying your sleep, download Auto Sleep for iOS. No Android version as far as I know.
Super cool. We'll have the link to that on the website. And Colby, take us home.
Indeed. So I think I decided I like my iPhone X enough to pick it, and this happened very abruptly yesterday as I had bundled up to go outside because it was kind of cold. I needed to go run an errand, so I put on my gloves, put on my hat and scarf and jacket, and I walked outside. And then I got a text message, and so I took out my phone, and it just unlocked. I didn't have to take off my gloves. Which was a perpetual problem with Touch ID. You either waited until you were in a warm place to look at your phone or did not unlock it. So I thought that was really cool. And I feel like it's worth the couple of times that I'm in bed in a weird position and it doesn't see me. So, yeah.
But now my question is, what are you going to do when it gets really cold out and you're wearing, which we all know you wear, your ski mask you wear out to keep your face warm? Do you think Face ID
for
will
those
work?
hats? I hope so. I mean, my eyes are still showing, right?
That's how it works.
Maybe I'll just have to.
The face
train
of your
my Face
shape,
ID.
the shape of your face rather is technically the same.
Sort of.
I do like the idea that Colby trains Face ID to identify him with the ski mask on, but only when the mask is on. And so he has to wear it all the time. And he's like, or else I can't get in my phone without it. Just sitting in the office with like a full black ski mask on.
I mean, if it can work when you have your sunglasses on, I feel like it should work if you have your ski mask
Your full
on.
ski mask on. Yeah,
Right.
totally. Great to unlock your phone when you're robbing a bank. All right, cool. That does it for our picks. I want to give a special thanks to the folks who joined us in the chat room tonight, both Percy and Friss, who have been fantastic. And they've got some additional picks, Dan, on top of your auto sleep. Percy recommends the Snore app. He says it rates your snoring compared to others who use the app. I'm assuming using the mic. So check,
oh my God.
Check that out.
I'm gonna destroy it this game. I don't
know if it's a game more so than your
silent.
life. But maybe we'll come back next week and Dan will share his score. And Friss mentions he loves his 8 mattress cover for sleep tracking. Works great, and you don't have to wear anything. So maybe we can check those out as well.
I looked at a couple of those.
For the hardcore.
I am intrigued. This was the lowest cost solution for me because I already had an Apple Watch, but I am intrigued by... I would prefer to not have to wear my Apple Watch if, I had unlimited money.
Don't we all? Well, good news. Thank you guys for joining us live. We do this Monday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern, for the moment at twitch.tv/don'tpanicshow. But I recommend following us on Twitter at Don't Panic Show because we tweet when we're live, and that's the best way to find out wherever we're doing it in a given week. And you can join us in the chat or in the comments, and then we get to talk about you on the show, which is fun for everybody. This is Don't Panic. You can get all of our info on the show at our website, don'tpanic.io. We got the old episodes. We got the picks every week are listed there. It's a lot of fun. And, of course, places you can subscribe. Any of the major podcast places, we're there. I mentioned the Twitter handle. Don'tpanicshow@gmail.com is our email. You can reach out to us. One other last tease, we do other shows as well. You can join Matt and myself at Up for Debate, upfordebate.tv. Our last episode, we read Console Wars, which was a great book and a fun episode. And this coming week, I think, don't hold me to this because I haven't confirmed it with him, but we are going to do our first ever holiday gift guide. Looking for the hot items on everybody's... This was Matt's idea. I want to really quadruple underline that. And this is why I say we might do it, because it might be a disaster. But we are going to do some fun holiday gift picks from me and Matt, which are going to be impractical and ridiculous. So that'll be coming out later this week at upfordebate.tv. And lastly, game nights. Listen to us play Dungeons & Dragons. The fan response has been enormous, comparatively. And so you can check it out there at gamenights.tv. Colby is DMing an awesome adventure. We got a new episode coming out later this week. You're not going to want to miss it. So be sure to subscribe and join us. That does it. Thanks, everybody, for listening. On behalf of Colby and Dan, this is Sean. We appreciate you being here, as always, and we'll see you next time for hopefully more tech news and fun times here on Don't Panic.